Welcome to the Vyne in Hampshire, where we're really excited to see the tapestries back for the first time in 7 years. The tapestries were commissioned by Edward Chute in the early 1700s, and they were made by John Vanderbank, who was the leading tapestry weaver of his time in England. The tapestries came down off the wall 7 years ago as a result of flooding and roof leaks that we had here at the Vyne, and now we're really excited to see them back up on the wall because they are really beautiful tapestries.
This process between taking them down in the first place and now rehanging them has taken quite a long time. Some of that is just the time it takes to conserve them. Some of it has been because of the pandemic. The tapestries, they're very old. They're made of organic materials, wool and silk, and the fibres lose strength, and things like UV light, they weaken the fibres just over time. Like anything, they just need a bit of help and support.
Here at the Textile Conservation Studio, we have 3 of 6 tapestries from the Vyne in Hampshire. So once we receive the tapestries here at the studio on their return from wet cleaning, we then also look at their condition. We check the stitching hours that are needed on the tapestries, and we prepare them to go on the frames for stitching. Then another aspect is that we have to prepare the materials, including the linen support ground, and we dye wool. Normally we don't have exactly the right colour, so we do in-house dyeing here for most of our tapestry treatments. When they were condition checked, they were found to be really in very poor condition and in desperate need of conservation. So we feel that our work here plays an important part in their long-term survival, and we always try to carry out work that will last for at least 50 years, if not 100 years.
We've all been visiting each other's studios, sending pictures of the work we've done to ensure continuity between all the tapestries, and finally the National Trust are here to rehang them. Historically, tapestries would be hung on hooks or poppers, but we actually use Velcro, which is really good because it evenly distributes the weight of the tapestry. You can then make little adjustments once you've got the tapestry up on the wall, which enable it to hang better.
The tapestries are now back on display in what was formerly Wiget Chute's billiard room. He wanted to create this as sort of his private space where he could escape from his 11 children. And he basically cut down the tapestries to make them fit in this room, because you can see areas where there are 2 tapestries that would originally have been 1 tapestry, and we've got areas of additions where they don't match. We've got half a bird, end of a pagoda is missing. Within the tapestries themselves, they represent what Western people of the time would have understood to be Eastern ideologies. So we've got lots of depictions of various deities. We've got the idol Kannon, which is a Japanese deity. That's almost a man being eaten by a fish with his worshippers at his feet. And then we've got the Oath of the Peach Garden, which is taken from a Chinese classic literature book, Legend of the Three Kingdoms, which depicts 3 Chinese warlords swearing an oath of allegiance to the Han dynasty. They were based very much on the imagination of people who'd never been to the East, and they'd obviously been told stories about how huge the insects were compared to anything that was ever seen in England or Europe at the time. So we've got some beautiful pictures within the tapestries of moths, dragonflies, huge insects just vastly out of proportion to the people in the tapestries themselves, and the birds and the other animals that are in there as well. It's wonderful to see the tapestries back on the wall at the Vyne where they belong after 7 years. None of this work would have been possible without the help of our supporters, so thank you to everyone for allowing us to preserve these tapestries for future generations to enjoy.